There's always a bit of drumming, never mind.
Hello, this is Climate Camp TV, and we're very lucky this afternoon to have James Stevens from the Open Wireless Network, and he's got a very interesting project about people sharing broadband and creating their own. Can you tell us a bit about it, James?
Well, sure. We began working with a new range of equipment in June last year to extend the Open Wireless Network, which we've had in place in Deptford for the last 5 years or so. And I've got some of the equipment here actually on the floor.
So what does this do?
It's a small wireless router. I'll get the box open.
Did you build this yourself, or you had it made in Korea, or?
I bought this from an American firm.
Yeah.
And they've been. Look, Hamish closed the top up.
So here's one he prepared earlier.
Here's one I prepared earlier. The great thing about them is that they are a fabulous reduction in size from the previous equipment we're using, which was a whole PC using about 80 watt. But now they're using about 5 watts, so they're fabulous. They are little computers that link to each other, and over the wireless network adapter that's installed inside them, and they enable you to share your broadband internet access across an area where you have similar installations.
Okay, the reason I'm doing this interview is because I'm a complete techie bozo. Why is that different? How is that different from a Wi-Fi router?
It is a Wi-Fi router, and it's using open software and open hardware, as opposed to closed systems that are prescribed by your ISP. So it enables us to modify the way that the system works and extend sharing in a way that suits humans better.
How is that extension better than the ISP's own solution?
Well, the ISP charges you a monthly fee and governs the way that the information is exchanged between your computer and other users on the internet. And that is increasingly draconian and closed, and we have an easy open solution here which allows us to practice in any way we want to.
So it's open, so you've got your ISP's connection, right? And then what's the difference? This is what I don't get. What's the difference between it being open and it being closed, for me, as a broadband user?
Well, it's open in a variety of different ways. So it's open as in there is no encryption on the gateway to grant you access. And you can optionally add username and password control if you want, but we run it as in a most open way we can. In fact, when you go to when you log on to the network, you get a little splash screen that comes up, kind of explains what's going on. We've got a splash screen JPEG.
Okay, so it's open in that way, but is that any different from me just leaving my connection? I mean, at home we've got an open, we leave our broadband open as a matter of principle because we think people should share their broadband connections. Yes. Is it different from that?
It's an organised way of doing that, right, with more people. So we've just taken that philosophy and expanded it out amongst a much larger group of people. So
is that like a geographical expansion? I mean, is that like the distance that it will go?
Yeah, you're limited to some extent by the quality of the radio signal getting so far.
But how far? I mean, I can if I go in my front garden, I can get my neighbours across the road. They who also have an open connection, but not much further than that.
That's it. I mean, in the end, that's the scale that works best. So you want to have as many of these nodes in your mesh as you can easily propagate with your neighbours. You can, if you're setting out to build a mesh, using the equipment in its simplest form like this is your easiest option. You can, of course, extend this antenna to one that's on your roof, that's more robust, weatherproofed, so that you can actually and it shapes the signal coming out so that it goes further, or goes in one direction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't...
So that obviously adds expense and complexity to the system. Ideally, you want to have a little box that is just a one-off installation that everyone can use, which is where we're at these days.
Right. Okay. But this question of right. So I've long thought that wouldn't it be a good idea if instead of every household having its own broadband connection, we just shared between a group of houses or whatever, and that would be convert the neighbourhood watch committee or whatever into an open broadband committee, and that'd be much more productive and useful. And wouldn't involve talking to anybody unpleasant like the police. Now, what I'm wondering is how yours is different from just doing that. I mean, if I called a meeting of all the neighbours and they came along, we said, okay, how many broadband connections have we got here? Let's share them. How is yours different?
I don't think it differs very much at all. I mean, we're just using one bit of equipment that when you install in different locations, knows about itself and can form links which you can then use to transfer data between those points in the network rather than relying on a single place for everyone to connect.
Okay. Obviously, we're always worried about the neighbours. There's a teenager who downloads films 24/7 on our open broadband connection. What would the solution be to that?
Well, if that were becoming a problem in as much as it was blocking your access to your for your normal use, then I'd approach said teenager and suggest they opened some kind of file sharing system so you could actually delete or download the stuff that he's been downloading over your network.
So it's about neighbours not only networking with each other in a electronic way, but also talking to each other face to face.
Well, I think it certainly requires a bit of that as well. The benefits improve the more interaction can occur. But if the interaction has to begin with computers, then so be it. I mean, in the case of Deptford, where we're working, we've got 400 people. Perhaps out of that, individuals using it will perhaps know 2 or 3 other people who are using it. It's at that sort of level, and actually penetrating that kind of range is quite difficult.
How are you planning to do that?
Well, by people being able to. Well, we have weekly meetings that people can attend. So for the last 4 or 5 years, we've run workshops on a Wednesday. It's called Wireless Wednesday, and we run it in Bitspace in Greenwich. And people, the local community users come along with their laptops, with questions, leave with old computers, fix things, ideas, and then come back another time and bring somebody else. So that kind of chain of interaction is supported by our sort of weekly workshop. And we've, obviously, in the process of doing this, we have to attend. I say we, anybody who's involved has to attend and help assist other people. So the social network of human contact is a growing one as well. It kind of happens alongside the technical delivery.
Right.
So it's successful in that respect. I mean, everyone involved is pretty happy to have actually been involved. And it's not just about getting internet access for free or sharing it with somebody else. They've found other people who have similar interests, and that has been as useful to them as even in the community where they've been living a long time. There's actually getting on the internet and meeting people who are more distant.
James, thanks very much. And for more shows on Climate Camp TV, log on. Cheers. Bye.